Hi there, it's Linda here. Thanks for joining me today as I play with my Evergreens Stencil from Newton's Nook. The first time I played with this is the card I made, and it's a ink blended rainbow of trees, and then I laid this polka dot stencil over the top. So once I'd done the ink blending with the Evergreens stencil in place, like I'm going to show you now. So I did my ink blending, took off the stencil, cleaned it off, and then lay it down again nice and clean and put the polka dot stencil over the top and applied the Moonstone Glimmer paste. And this is the effect. And I loved that card, had a great time making it, and knew that I wanted to make a variety of different cards with this beautiful stencil as soon as I got time. So here I am today, back to share 3 more cards using this fabulous stencil. So first of all, this is a blue, pinky, purple version with bold, vibrant white trees. So the evergreens are white in this case. So I tried to give different looks each time. That was what I was looking for on my Christmas cards. I certainly don't do the same card over and over. I make about 40 cards and they really are all different. So it's just that's just how I like to do it. So that's me. So my ink blending, first of all, as you can see, I've used Mermaid, Lagoon and picked raspberry. They're just the distress inks, not the oxides. And I'm joining them in the middle, blending the colours out there to get the purple tinge through the centre. So this is going to be my beautiful background then, the beautiful colours in the sky with my white trees over the top of it. So I'm laying down my stencil, holding it in place with some painter's tape. And first of all, I use what's called embossing paste. I've had embossing paste for years. Haven't really used it lately, but back in my mixed media days I did. And I did forget that it dries quite pale. I really did want white, stark white trees, and unfortunately with embossing paste you're not going to get that, and I had forgotten that after many years of not using it. So first of all it looks white, but when it dries back, as you will see in a minute, it's quite faded. But that was okay because I had another product from my mixed media days called Gesso. So I grabbed out my Gesso and I went over the top again with Gesso, and I got the beautiful white trees that I was looking for. So first of all, yes, the embossing paste looks good. I'll wipe off that excess with my finger and give it a good clean straight away, take it to the sink and get every last little bit off. But as you can see, it fades out quite a bit. So lay the stencil down over the top again, use my Jo Sonja Gesso, and then I end up with my beautiful white trees, and they stay white when they dry, which is fantastic. All right, so love this beautiful stencil. It's so pretty. Now this stencil that I'm doing for some snow over the top of my white trees, this is a Heidi Swap stencil. It's an old one. It's got sort of snow or bokeh, a bokeh pattern at the top, and then it's got stars, and then it's got hearts at the bottom. So I'm using another Nuvo paste here, and this one is in Tanzanite Lavender. I just thought it went really well with the colours that I blended on this card. So I put the stencil with the bokeh pattern, which I'm calling Snow. I put that at the top, and you can see I get big and little snowballs, snow crystals. And then I lay it down the bottom, move my painter's tape, hold it in place. Have to be really careful when I do this part that I don't get any onto the white trees where I don't want it. But it works out okay. Just have to be a little bit careful with your spatula or your palette knife, whatever you want to call it. And then I've just got a bit in the middle where I'm going to have to come back. Here it is. Once my other sections are dry, I come back, end up covering it with the stencil, and then 2 pieces of paper over the top to protect those parts of the card. I don't want to get any more dots in those areas. Just snowdrops through the center here only, and that works. That seems to sort everything out, and I then have enough snow over the complete area of the trees. So this card's nearly finished. Once it's all dry, just add a nice black glittered background to my card front, and I've cut the Evergreen Stencil panel down more to the size of an American card. The stencil is a little bit smaller than our Australian card front sizes, but that's fine. Just cut it down to make the card that the best fits it. And I've white heat embossed a sentiment from the Lawn Fawn, what's it called? Simply Winter Sentiments set. Adding that with some foam tape and some liquid adhesive because of the texture on the back. I just want it to stick really well. And as you can see, you've got some beautiful dimension on that card. So this one is going to be heat embossed. So I've got my stencil in place, but I've used my embossing buddy just to help with the static. And now I'm using my VersaMark ink pad to get all the sticky embossing ink squeezed or squashed down through the stencil. And then once I lift up my stencil, I can apply my embossing powder to the area, and this is Nuvo Fine Detail Embossing Powder in Copper Blush. It is gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. And I've got the fan on today because it's like 32 degrees here on the Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia, and it was blowing everything everywhere, so I ended up with Copper Blush embossing powder all over my desk. But anyway, that's what happens, so it's all good. Heat embossing, melting, beautiful, gorgeous, and you end up with these stunning bronzy rose gold trees, which are just beautiful. Then I decided I wanted, instead of a white background, because white background is what I did the first time, I didn't, on that very first card I showed you, I didn't want another white background for this one, so I've got out my Distress Oxides and I'm blending 4 colours together: picked raspberry, candied apple, spiced marmalade and fossilised amber. And they are so gorgeous to blend, seriously. Man, you just can't go wrong, I tell you. It's so easy. Make sure you've got a nice well-inked sponge and seriously dab off on the side as you see me doing there and go for your life. The thing with ink blending is it does take time, so the first card you saw me make today with the gessoed white trees, that ink blending would have taken me 10 or 15 minutes with the blue and the pink, the Mermaid Lagoon and the picked raspberry. So you can't rush it. You've got to dab off and then go on and build up the layers, build up, build up, build up, just bit by bit until you get the intensity that you want. And if you take your time, it will work out for you. Make sure you've got a well-inked sponge. That really does help. So I just grab a tissue, wipe off the embossed trees so that there's no ink lying on them. And I'm using Catherine Pooler Rock and Red ink for my sentiment. And again, it's from that same Lawn Fawn set. I contemplated moving that left, right, middle, down, top, back. But I ended up going exactly the same as the other cards. I didn't mix it up too much. I pretty much, once I liked it in the middle, the bottom there, I couldn't really change my mind on that. So centered in along the bottom is what we get each time today. And I decided now with these trees that I was going to decorate them like Christmas trees by adding some sparkly Kaisercraft rhinestones like Christmas lights, and I chose colours like my ink blending colours, and it's really quite beautiful, very pretty. Doesn't that heat embossing look lovely? Never grow tired of that. So this one is going to be foiled. So I've shown you the products I'm using from Deco Foil there. This is the transferred gel. It's a bit like embossing paste but thinner. So you do get a little bit of leakage. Well, if you're me, you do. I did get a little bit of seepage under the stencil here. It's not a problem. You just put your sentiment over there. Don't stress. It's Christmas. You don't want to be stressing now. So as you can see at the bottom there, it's a little bit messy, but that's fine. Cover it up at the end with something. And once you get your rainbow foil on, all you can see is the rainbow, so you're distracted. So I've got it in a piece of paper there. I've put it through my laminator, my heated up laminating machine, and there you have it. Beautiful rainbow foiled trees. They're so bright. In real life they're amazing. So here I am back with this same polka dot stencil again. I do not know where that came from. I have had it for 10 years, and any snowy polka dotty, you know, stencil that you've got will give you the same sort of look here. So I'm using the Nuvo Glimmer paste in Moonstone again, and this time I'm not keeping the snow away from the tops of the trees or the sky area. I'm not covering with the original Evergreens Stencil. I'm just going straight over the whole card front, so you've got snow all over. And this time I do white heat embossing of my sentiment on a teal piece of cardstock so that it all coordinates quite nicely. And the sentiment is again from that Lawn Fawn Simply Winter Sentiments set. So there's the beautiful foiled trees, and they really do look gorgeous. And here are my 4 cards. I just enjoyed making these so much. You will have a ball with this stencil, so grab one if they're not all gone and enjoy being creative. Thanks for watching.